Stories. He breaks it down like no one else. Proud to be Edmonton's sports leader. Sports 1440.
Hey there, it's Brandon Douglas from Sports 1440. If you're tired of slow, unreliable internet connections like I am, check out Starlink. It's fast, reliable, even in bad weather, and even works for 4K streaming for movie nights, online gaming, and more. Growing up on the farm in the sticks of central Alberta, we tried everything to get reliable internet, but we're always left with buffering video and half-loaded websites. There's nothing worse than losing your connection while streaming the big game. I'm getting mine set up soon and can't wait. If you're ready for better internet, order online in 2 minutes at starlink.com/radio or call 1-800-GO-STARLINK.
Everybody loves a beautiful day in Edmonton. Hey, it's Jamie, and Green Drop Lawn Care is giving you one more reason to love the nice weather. Next Nice Day service. People always ask,
how soon can Green Drop get here?
Well, when you sign up with Next Nice Day service, we'll be there by tomorrow. Assuming Mother Nature cooperates, we'll be fertilizing and treating your weeds by the very next day. We'll even include drought fighter at no additional cost. Just another reason we have been Canada's lawn experts since 1979. Easy online signups only at greendrop.com.
The Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440. Author, musical connoisseur, sports know-it-all. Yes, a man for all seasons.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
On today's show, Major League Baseball player Mike Soroka will join us at 12:25 today, and we'll talk about the Oilers and Bruce Cassidy. Seems inevitable now. Everybody's talking about it. That and more straight ahead. The Lowdown brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. Huge May savings on new 2026 Sierra, 1,500 pickups, and all remaining 2025 Terrain SUVs. Wolf GMC Buick. As you know, we are live on YouTube and Sports 1440 Radio. Online, we're at sports1440.ca, iHeartRadio, and Radio Player Canada. After the show, we send it out to Apple and Spotify podcasts, and we tweet it out on X. We're on Twitter at Lowetide, at Declan Krueger, at JFenwick04, and you can text us anytime at 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Our guest today, Michael Soroka from the Arizona Diamondbacks, and Steve Lansky will join us at 1 o'clock today. And, of course, we have declinations later on this hour, 12:40-ish, depending upon how long we talk to Mr. Soroka. Okay, with all of that set as the stage, we will introduce my two cohorts, the men who will someday push me over a ledge, and then they'll be the hosts of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, this weekend he's heading north, where it's daylight until midnight or later every day. And you might have to wait for a bison to exit the drive-thru, but he's going to love it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Josh Fenwick. Josh Fenwick, everybody.
Yeah. I've never really been up there, so that might be true. Yeah. For all I know, that might be true. Last time I went that far north, I was like 10.
Yeah, there's a lot of bison up there, and it does. It's early in the spring-ish, but I bet it's daylight. You'll be surprised how long it's daylight.
Oh yeah, no, the farther north you get, the longer the sun stays up. So yeah, I'm excited to find out.
Yeah, you'll have a great time. You'll start thinking about golfing at 3 a.m. At about 3 a.m.
Wait, I'm not allowed to do that when I live in Edmonton? Because I've definitely been doing that.
Oh, well, I mean, you have good eyesight then. This weekend, he will head to Elks camp, watching MMA Saturday and sleep 12 hours a night. What a life. I wish I had it again. I used to. It was a long time ago. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Declan Krueger. Declan Krueger, everybody.
Well, first off, the obvious one, you're canceled for that.
Second, oh yeah, sorry, man.
I would love to get 12 hours of sleep. I think I got about 4 last night.
You know, I woke up at 3 this morning and I went to bed around, I was going to say 10 o'clock. I went to bed early because I'm old. But I woke up at 3 and I was wide awake. The horrible thing about growing old is when you've got nothing happening at 3 a.m. on a Friday morning and your body goes, okay, we are ready to roll. Where are we headed? The kitchen? And that's sort of what happens. So you can get back to sleep though, right?
Yeah, but my thing is I don't fall asleep. Like my ideal world, I'm sleeping 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. every day. But it's more of like a 2:30 to 7 kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
Yeah, I get it. All right, 12:25-ish today, we have Michael Soroka from the Arizona Diamondbacks. This is an individual, if you're a baseball fan, you know all about it. I'm not going to tell you anything you don't know. But he was drafted in the first round by the Atlanta Braves back in 2015. And within a couple of years, he made it to Major League Baseball. And his rookie year, his first full year in the major leagues, was the stuff of legends. He went 13-4 for the Braves, 2.68 ERA, and 174 innings, 171 strikeouts. He was absolute fire. And as often happens with not just young pitchers, but with young pitchers in the major leagues, every pitch is thrown as hard as you can, and the strain just overwhelms. And he lost a couple of seasons completely to injury. And for the most part, over the last several years, he's been trying to get back. It's been hit and miss. It's been a lot of, struggles, and we'll talk to him about that. But this year he's made it. He's 5-2 already. His ERA is 3.53, and that's actually misleading because he had one tough outing against Milwaukee. Other than that, he has been absolute money. I find it interesting because the world of baseball now, they measure everything, all the pitches. And we're going to talk to him about a cutter that he's using now. I think it's his first year he's using this cutter that is baffling major league pitchers, and his command is great. I've seen several references in writing to him being a Greg Maddux-esque in terms of his control and his command. So at 12:25 today, we're going to talk to, and I'm looking forward to it very much, Michael Soroka from the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, we've had baseball players on before, but Soroka, the stuff of legends. I mean, I remember when that rookie season of his hit. It was the talk of the town. Wonderful ball player. We also, of course, are going to talk about the Edmonton Oilers. It sounds like you're hearing more and more, whether it be Chris Johnston or Elliot Friedman or whomever, talking in terms of, well, it looks like the number one choice for the Edmonton Oilers is Cassidy, and it looks like Bruce Cassidy's number one choice is the Edmonton Oilers. So, I mean, I'm no expert, and I'm not a matchmaker per se, but it seems to me money won't be an issue. And then it's just a matter of, negotiation. I wrote in The Athletic today about some things I think a head coach should ask for, like complete control over the staff that he hires, and then also control over deployment. If you remember in 2023, when Cassidy coached the Vegas Golden Knights, he had one shutdown line, and then a couple of scoring lines, and they were very successful. He also had a very specific breakout and entry plan, and he had, not established goaltending, but outstanding goaltending from Aiden Hill. And part of that was Sean Burke, who was his goaltender coach. So I'll be interested in seeing what happens should this occur. But I think that Edmonton Oilers fans, as much as maybe you didn't like the exit of Chris Knobloch, and we wish him all the best, I think the entry of Bruce Cassidy will represent a maturation of this team in terms of competing that we really haven't seen. I will say the last coach that really tried to line, like Jay Woodcroft was very innovative, but he was young and inexperienced. He could get out coached by a veteran, and he did, as a matter of fact, in 2023. But I would say that in terms of tactician, this is probably the best coach the Oilers have had since Craig McTavish. I don't think I'm wrong saying that. Aikens was very good, as was Woodcroft. And now Knobloch was very interesting. He came up with great solutions. But I wonder if we're starting to wonder if Glenn Gulletson and Paul Coffey were a bigger part of the success that Chris Knobloch enjoyed here. That's not fair to Chris Knobloch, but the year that he had without those two compared to the years that he had with them makes us ponder and wonder, like Del Shannon and the great song Runaway. Do you have any thoughts on our baseball guest or on the Oilers, either of you gentlemen?
Well, it's funny you've been hammering home the coaching so much, obviously very topical, natural to do so. We, on Declinations today, will be doing our top 5 head coaching prospects, if you want to use the word prospect, for the Edmonton Oilers, Bruce Cassidy not included.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you decided, since he was such a front runner, you wouldn't involve him. You do believe he would be a candidate.
Oh, surely. Like, we're talking 90% plus, 95% plus. He's the guy they're keyed in on. I think everybody kind of knows it. It's low hanging fruit. It's boring. So I texted Josh earlier today. I said, listen, we're going to do this list. We're not going to include Bruce Cassidy.
Okay. I have my top 5 that I tweeted out. Do you mind if I throw mine in at the end?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Beat us to the punch. It's your show.
No, I want you guys to remember me fondly when you're making millions and working for ESPN.
I won't.
I know. I don't.
Who knows? Maybe this is the next ESPN. Maybe we're the.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it'll just grow.
Maybe we kickstart this.
The chemistry will grow from Edmonton and West Edmonton Mall. That's not a bad idea.
You can be Mad Dog.
Okay, we have a couple of seconds here. Very briefly, NBA.
Yeah, 2 big games tonight. Pistons can force a game 7, or the Cavs can close it out at home. They are undefeated at home currently as well. They have 1 win on the road. That was last game. So big game for the Cavs here. A big James Harden legacy game, quite frankly. No doubt about it. He's this old, and he's got it. If he's the best player, he's got to be the best player on the court.
All I'm saying is his legacy, I don't want to say is tarnished because of his playoff performance, but he needs to win a ring and be an impactful player. That's what needs to happen.
And so he needs to be a good player tonight.
Yeah,
if he's not a good player,
every game's a legacy.
I guess you're right. You know what?
His career NBA report card is going to be like my report card at every grade when I was in school.
No,
Lowetide is a good guy, but he needs to apply himself.
He's a fascinating player. He's truly one of one.
He's really, really something.
Well, we have the moment. Can you give us any updates on the Elks?
Yeah, so I wasn't down at camp this morning because we were recording the Elks Central podcast, which was a full training camp breakdown thus far. The intensity's been good in camp. There are some guys, some guys are going to get cut. That's how training camp works. There are some guys who are going to win the starting jobs going away. That's how training camp works. Overall, I've been really encouraged with what I've seen. Some of the big signings for the Elks, just to talk about them for a second, Malik Carney and Austin Mack, both of those guys have looked well worth their money so far. Coulter Woodmansey as well, highest paid non-quarterback in the CFL. He looks like an absolute dog. Eats defensive linemen up on one-on-ones. The big signings that people get excited about, they have a reason to be excited about.
And the big thing about the Canadian Football League, no matter how talented the starter is, they need to have really good depth. How does the roster, I know you can't keep track of 85 guys, or 110 or however many are out there. But do you like, the speed, the overall feel of it? There's not a coach calling a guy over and the guy hanging his head and going back to the locker room 10 minutes in?
Yeah, there's maybe a few. There's not heading back to the locker room, but there may be a few where the body language is less than what would generally be considered acceptable. I don't want to throw anyone out by name, but
no.
It's yeah, listen, I think depth, there's certain position groups that have better depth than others. That's kind of goes without saying. The starters look really clean and polished. And yeah, there are some guys who maybe aren't bringing it the way they should be, but that is kind of just as much as it's just kind of part of training camp.
Right. Ontario Mom says, I stand by that if Evan Bouchard got walked the first minute of an elimination game like Jackson Lacombe did last night, it would be front center of every conversation. That's the difference in why he didn't make top 3 Norris. Lacombe's hurt. Pile on Bouchard all you want. The guy is a great hockey player, and he has flaws for sure. But, if you give me enough time, I find tape of Bobby Orr, who is my hero, and him making mistakes. You could argue the penalty he took with 2 minutes left in Game 6 of the 1975 final was, a mistake. Egads, Mac T was worst coach ever, ranting Rob. Not close. Mac T was a really good tactician. And the one thing about Mac T, I used to go down to the rink in those years, and they'd have open practices. And he worked with guys. Like he just, I know that they still do that, but Mac T was like, he always wanted to make people better. You'd get a winger in here, and he'd work on faceoffs. He'd work on recognition. I think that those who think Craig McTavish wasn't a great coach, he was not a great power play coach. That's the truth. But he built that team to be a 5-on-5 absolute dagger in 2006, and they were. And they almost won the Stanley Cup. So it's rags to riches, back to rags. But I will always fondly remember Mac T as a coach, and I sometimes think he would have been a better general manager than the famous guys they brought in here. But as a coach, I thought he's dynamite. And just so you know, he taught all of the analytics people when he was talking about what he was thinking, we were all listening to him. So in a lot of ways, he's the grandfather of the Oilers division of the analytics, which I'm sure you don't like either, but that is the truth. A lot of people talk about the cost to the owner of firing Chris Knobloch, but I think the cost to the owner of McDavid leaving would be significantly higher, JR and Red Deer. You're right. Now, at some point in time, the owner doesn't make the call, right? That's a Connor McDavid call, but you can be sure that he will move heaven and earth to try to keep Connor McDavid here. Like, that's the last chance Texaco there. Like, you would almost rather do anything than lose Connor McDavid. So, if Connor McDavid were to say, I will sign an 8-year deal after my 2-year deal, but I want this, as long as it was allowable through the NHL, contract negotiations and agreements, as long as it was allowable there, I do not see an ask Connor McDavid would make that Daryl Cates would say no to in that situation. Seriously, we talked about it earlier. He's a pristine brand. Connor McDavid, just the name itself is enough to say, oh, wow, that's important, and the fact that he hasn't won a Stanley Cup in a way has made his story bigger, because when he does, do me a favor, when he wins a Stanley Cup in Edmonton or wherever it is, give me a list of people who are not going to write a story about Connor McDavid and turn it into a book. If they win the Stanley Cup, I'll have a book out within days of the Stanley Cup victory. Connor McDavid is good for business for everyone in this city. And we as broadcasters should be the first to acknowledge it. So the story of Connor McDavid signing, not signing, next summer will be the story that we'll be all writing about. Perhaps that's not fair to his teammates, but that is the way the world goes. Is shares of Rexall a thing? I don't think so. You have to be able to quantify what value is and include it in the contract, right? You can't just say, here's a boat, or a heated driveway. Well, wait a minute. Lowetide, I think you might be right about Dobush. He's got this Habs goalie lore about him. After his bad 3 goals last night, he stood on his head. Montreal may go far. Derek, I'm just saying there's something about it. I know that someone like me who watched my Boston Bruins go down in flames after being the highest scoring team in NHL history in 1971. They'd won the Cup in 70. They won the Cup in 1972. And they meet Ken Dryden in 1971, and they can't beat him. Stoned them. And so that stays with you. And then a few years later, I think it was Walmsley, and then it was, Patrick Roy. There is a lore about the Montreal Canadiens, and that crowd it makes a different sound, man. It just does. Montreal loves their Le Habitant, and they are playing well. I think they're the better team in this series, but I wouldn't discount Buffalo taking it to 7.
Dobush was unreal last night. What was it? 3-on-4? Yeah. And then also, we put a clip out about it today, but Marty St. Louis, after the fact, he was, Kevin said, looked like a deer in headlights, which is a very apt description. And they radioed up to the goalie coach and said, do we pull him? And he said, nah, leave him in. And then he stood on his head, no. Credit to the Habs of just trusting your guy.
Well, and the comment comes in here, and I want to address this. Rayner says, so you're saying Montreal gave a young goalie a chance to play, and he's playing good. I wish the Oilers would give Unger his shot. Well, I think they may. He's going to have to come to camp and earn probably the starting job in Bakersfield. I mean, he and Samuel Johnson are the two. But part of it is recognition, right? That's why when I talk about the Golden Knights when they won in 2023, they started Laurent Brossoit. They had no hesitation to go to Aiden Hill, and then he ended up winning 11 of the 12 games. And that's scouting, but it's also the goalie coach, Sean Burke in this case, and then everybody having the courage of their convictions. The Oilers, they trade for Tristan Jarry. Jarry did not, have a good year when he was here. He had some injury issues and he never got, traction going. But I would be disappointed in the Edmonton Oilers organization. You've invested in that guy, and now you're just going to, we're done with him. Well, then why did you make the trade? The reason you made the trade was you wanted to have a goalie under contract going into the summer. Well, you have that, and you can sign, Connor Ingram or trade for Sebastian Cossa. You can still do all of those things. Well, I think, you trade for a guy and you say, you're my guy, then there's a certain amount of loyalty that has to come with that. And I think Tristan Jarry should be if not winning the job outright, start 2026, 27, then he should be there. And then if you find as time goes on that you need to replace him, then that's part and parcel of what being an NHL general manager is. But my hope is that Stan Bowman brings him back. That's my hope. Ross and the Burn, have you seen the interview with Evander Kane and how he spoke of Edmonton? It was refreshing to hear. Yeah, I mean, I think people forget how valuable Evander Kane was when he first got here. Remember that year? And they went right into the playoffs and he was scoring at a great rate. And then, of course, he did have some problems. He did, with the injury. Remember the Patrick Maroon injury? And that was a bit of an issue for sure for the rest of his time here in Edmonton. But he was a big star coming here for free, and they didn't win the Stanley Cup, so you can't brag about it. But they were very productive, and he was very productive, especially in that first year when he was here in Edmonton.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
I don't understand why Edmonton can't have a killer goalie development program where we draft and develop our own goalies instead of depending on everybody's seconds. Greater Man Jay. I agree with you, but the Oilers have drafted Devin Dubnyk was drafted in 2004. Stuart Skinner was drafted a little bit later, and they were really good. So they're not the Nashville Predators, but they can do a job. Are we going to take a break? All right, we'll take a break. On the way, Michael Soroka, starter for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and of course, Canadian, a first-round pick and a brilliant pitcher who has found his game in a big way. That's all straight ahead right here. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440, and we're brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick.
Here's the Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
Lowdown on Sports 1440, brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. Check them out, wolfgmcbuick.com. Time for our headliner of the day, Michael Soroka, the Arizona Diamondbacks, brought to you by Faber. Debt holding you back? Let Faber's licensed insolvency trustees help you tackle your debt. Book your free consultation at faber.ca or call 1-877-944-1177. Welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us, Michael Soroka.
Of course, guys. Thank you for having me.
So for fans like me and everybody else in this room and across our listening area who followed your career, this season has already been a joy. Impressive start, getting hitters out, making every start. You must feel very good about your pitching and what we'll call a massive comeback.
Yeah, I think it's, it's been a long time coming. Obviously, the last few years, really just working back from injuries, learning new things, adjusting to a new league, really, and a league that I think is improving at an alarming rate. It's definitely been a good start to the season, and just looking to keep it going. I got a long year ahead.
Your ERA is mid-threes, but that's a little misleading because of that Brewers start. You're bringing it. What has been the key to your season so far?
I think it's just piecing together things that, again, like I said, I've learned over the last, really 2-3 years. I put aside some immediate performance stuff a couple of years ago to learn. It's a tough thing to do at the big league level. But it's things that I knew I had to do to have that success moving forward, and things like adjusting mechanics and adding new pitches. And, I think I'm finally in a place where I can apply all of that. And I'm with an organization that's really helped me to do that and demanded my best on a daily basis and just coming out and attacking. So again, it's been a nice way to start the season, and hopefully everything just keeps on track.
I looked at Fangraphs, and it looks like you're throwing a cutter that is baffling hitters, and you've got great command and control on it. You're like Greg Maddux out there with that pitch. Is that a new one? Is this the first year you've thrown the cutter?
In games, yeah. I've played with it a couple different times throughout my career. Once when I first got drafted, and not again until actually a couple of years ago, but it kept getting tabled because it was, it was messing with other things in the arsenal. But I went to the Cubs last year at the trade deadline, and a lot of guys in their pitching staff were able to show me exactly, how to make it mine, I guess I would say, is the shape that I would chase, and the shape that I needed, and how it actually made the sinker better. And it didn't necessarily matter that the four-seamer didn't have as much vertical lift. I'm not sure how into that stuff you guys are, but it's just giving hitters a different look. I think it's given me a weapon for lefties to keep them honest, and righties when they're cheating to the sinker in. I think anybody will say nowadays velo gets negated a little bit when the guy's got three different fastballs. I think you look at what Cam Schlittler is able to do in New York. If you watch one of his starts, it's primarily just three different fastballs, and he's just absolutely dominating baseball right now. So I think you're starting to see it as a trend in baseball that starters are at minimum two different fastballs, if not three. It just gives guys a different look.
With vert, I do have one question on it, because I just wonder how repeatable it is. I know that there's a muscle memory or whatever, but if you're looking for a certain amount of vert on a specific pitch, and you do a really good job, how difficult is it to get that either with the next time you throw the pitch or in the next start? How much variance is there?
For me, I think there's a little bit more variance because of all the different shapes that I'm trying to create. It's kind of lumped pitchers into what we've called pronators and supinators. So it's just the wrist the wrist angle through release kind of dictates how true the ball spins. The thing is with being supinated, you might lose a little bit of that vert, but then you have the ability to get to the inside of the baseball really easily, or the outside rather, and then also sink it and really make the changeup drop too. So, there's always a give and take, and that's kind of what we've really tried to figure out, is where everything is kept best. Because I think if you sell out to lean too far in one direction, whether it's too much ride or too much sink, you lose the ability to do other things. And like I said, to be able to give hitters different looks in different at-bats, I think is where this game is going, unless you really have two true outlier pitches, which is quite rare.
I was reading Nick Pollock at Pitcher List, and he said you have stellar command, and your strikeout to walk ratio is like 4-1 now. And I mentioned Maddox, who was a tremendous command pitcher. Is there a fine line between being, in the zone too much? Like with 2 strikes, I know you'll probably go out of the zone, but do you find that there's a fine line there where you want to be in the zone or close enough? You don't want to waste too many pitches. And how hard is it to do that?
Yeah, I think it is. It's actually a really good question. I think it's something that is difficult to do. It's easy in practice to say, let's just eat up the strike zone. And I think we're seeing with the ABS system, the strike zone is getting smaller and smaller. Top to bottom, it's so much smaller than it used to be. And now you're truly not really getting anything off the edges, where every once in a while you'd always get a pitch, especially even when I first got called up. If you squared up the catcher and catcher was set up on the black away, it was almost always given to you, even if you're a rookie. But I think, again, with the best pitchers in baseball, you're seeing the guys that are able to locate 2 quadrants of the zone with their best stuff. There is definitely such a thing as being too much over the plate, especially late in counts. Then that's where, if you're going to do it, you got to do it early in counts. You got to do it 0-0, 0-1 when the hitter hasn't had a chance to really adjust yet. There's a lot to show that the longer a hitter can stick around in the count, that the better chance they have of barreling a ball. And again, a lot of that's just timing. It's them getting their timing with you and seeing the pitch shapes. And, it's a very fine line. I think on TV, when you watch it, the zone looks a lot bigger than it is. And I know hitters would say that the zone feels bigger at the plate than it does on the mound. But, in reality, we're talking about inches being the difference between a pitch that's over the plate and on the corner. A couple inches. It's pretty crazy if you really think about it. But there is definitely that balance between having stuff in the zone all the time and stuff that is able to present in the zone and at the end of the day at the end of the pitch be out of it. So again, I think you got to do your job in showing the hitters that you are going to be over the plate, because that gets them in swing mode. But again, having the experience to know when it's time to expand is very important.
Michael Soroka, our guest, Arizona Diamondbacks on Sports 1440 and the Lowdown with Lowetide. I wanted to ask you about, the quick tap for the, to review a strike or a called ball that you believe is a strike. When I'm watching at home, it's frustrating because I know it's early in the game, but do you sometimes feel like, man, I know that's a strike, but maybe you want to hold it for later in the game? Are you torn a little bit because you don't need the pitch? You're already up by 2 strikes and it's another one and you go, I'll let this slide.
Sometimes, yeah. I think a lot of it's feel for the game situation, and as a team, we are leaving that up to the catchers. So with the Diamondbacks, we're pretty much just giving the catchers autonomy in doing that. There was a lot to show in AAA that pitchers just didn't successfully challenge at the same rate that catchers did, and a lot of that has to do with us being a little bit more emotionally involved. Also, our heads are moving while we're watching the ball cross on plate. So it makes it a little more difficult. There are instances where I do think pitchers do have a decent vantage point, especially on like a throw down or a steal attempt. I think those are the one situation where we might have a better look. And a lot of times pitches don't get called unless they're like over the heart of the plate with a throwdown. But I do think that there are definitely spots where you have to pick and choose. We've seen a couple of times where catchers, it could be on other teams even. I think they get to a point where if the pitcher's, not beating up the strike zone, they're kind of all over the place and they're begging for a call here and there. That's when you see guys reach forward a little bit and make bad decisions. But as a team, we've been really good. I think we're at the top of the league in challenges, at least for our catchers. So I'm going to continue leaving it up to them.
The Diamondback staff is interesting to me because you've got Ryan Nelson, who throws just an unbelievable fastball, and then you've got some interesting angles from Eduardo Rodriguez, Merrill Kelly, a veteran, obviously Zach Allen, and then yourself. Does it help you to maybe be a pitcher on a staff that has a lot of different styles and maybe different release points? Does that make it more difficult, or day-to-day hitters just kind of wipe the slate clean and they're ready for you?
Definitely. I think we're all able to kind of bounce things off each other, and we've all had enough experiences through Major League Baseball that, we can talk about these trends. We can talk about what we're trying to do. And, we're always tinkering. We're always trying to get better. You always have to do that in this game if you want to stick around. So, it does make a difference to be with a good team and guys that are surrounded with, good standards. It matters a lot.
Final one for you. Shohei Ohtani's pitching this year, and his hitting's not quite what it was when he wasn't pitching. Is there a little part of you who goes, it's hard to do both because he's a great pitcher, obviously, but to be able to do both of those things on a day-to-day basis is, it really is almost impossible, right?
I think I can't really speak from experience because I was nowhere in the same realm of the hitter that Ohtani is. I also think it could just be a down month for him.
Sure.
He's been by far and away the best player in baseball for I don't know how many years now. And it could just be a month that, he just wasn't quite timed up at the plate. So without a doubt, he's come out and said that he wants to win a Cy Young, and there's no doubt in anybody's mind that he's capable of that. So again, I think it's tough to judge because he's just a different animal as it is. I think to normal people, that would be a lot. But he's playing a different game than we are. So again, I think it's very possible that it could be a down month and things turn around. And he's just so special.
Well, listen, this was a real joy for me. I thank you so much. We're all proud of you here in Alberta. We wish you the best of the luck. You keep it going, okay?
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
There you go. Michael Soroka from the Arizona Diamondbacks having a terrific year. Diamondbacks are in it. The Dodgers are trying to skate away like they normally do. I think they're 4.5 up right now, maybe 2.5 up on San Diego. But Diamondbacks are in it, and they've got a veteran team. And we'll see. We'll follow that story for the rest of the year. All right. On the way, Declinations straight ahead on Sports 1440. We're brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick.
Hear that? That's your entry calling. Go Auto is sending you to the biggest football event in the world, live in Vancouver, with tickets, flights, and a hotel stay for two. To enter the contest, just text GAME to 780-777-7777. That's GAME to 780 all sevens. Go Auto, get in the game.
It's the final weekend of the Brick's famous tent sale. Take up to 70% off clearance items in the tent and in-store. Overstock, scratch, and dent, and unadvertised in-store specials in every department. Plus, buy more, save more. Up to $1,000 off select major appliances. And score a bonus Bluetooth party speaker with a qualifying purchase. You could get a sofa, coffee table, mattress, bed frame, and a dining set, all for less than $1,500. Only at the Brick's tent sale. See in-store for details and exclusions. The Brick, saving you more.
The longest running basketball show in Canada airs every Saturday morning at 10 on Sports 1440. Hoop City with Paul Sir introduces a new generation of basketball talk, and it's right here on Edmonton's home for sports, Sports 1440.
Are new McCafe crafted sodas just drinks or something more? Like Sprite Berry Bliss, Creamy Strawberry Coke, and Orange Dream. All swirled with fizzy flavor and topped with silky cold foam. Only at McDonald's. At participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada.
From the local rinks to homes and businesses across the province, Alberta's rural natural gas utilities are here to fuel life affordably, reliably, and safely. We're members of the Federation of Alberta Gas Co-ops, providing natural gas to keep our rural neighborhoods warm and connected every day. It's local, dependable, and it's ours. To learn more about the Federation of Alberta Gas Co-ops and our members, and how natural gas fuels your community, visit fedgas.com. Alberta's energy. Game on.
Hey, Gary, is that your dad?
No, this is Evan, the new sales rep I hired.
Oh.
First impressions matter, but when hair loss takes over, it can feel like you're not being seen for the maverick you truly are. Hi, I'm Dr. Vance Elliott. At Advanced Hair and Skin Surgery, we know that hair loss is more than just a cosmetic issue. It's personal. Let's discuss all the cutting-edge options available so you can make a great impression every time.
Book a free consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
Here's the Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
This is the Lowdown on Sports 1440, brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. Huge May savings on right now, wolfgmcbuick.com. And I want to thank Michael Soroka from the Arizona Diamondbacks and also Brad Slater for setting that interview up. That was really good. Enjoyed it very much. So before we do declinations, I just want to be clear here because I have driven to the studio when it was a holiday. We're not here Monday.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Okay. I want to be clear. I will not be here Monday.
Neither will I. So if you're getting fired on Monday, I'm also getting fired on Monday.
I don't think they just changed the locks. I don't think they,
I don't know.
All right.
The right guy to ask is our boss's, producer.
We're off Monday, right, Connor? Yeah.
There we go.
With his Chargers hat. Hope springs eternal. All right, it's time for Declinations, brought to you by Fairway Divorce Solutions, the clear road to a new life. There is a better way. Fairwaydivorce.com. And with that, Declinations.
Okay, Josh, you want to do this one? I give my 5, you give your 5. We do the back and forth.
Yeah, let's do the back and forth.
I agree. Okay, my number 5. And now for anyone just tuning in, these are our top 5 candidates, or maybe top 5 wish list. I think candidate is probably a better word to be the next head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. Bruce Cassidy not included.
So you're like, he's basically 1A or we're just saying.
I mean, I just think
he's number 1 with a bullet. So in reality, this is 2 to 6, but
it makes it more interesting, and we have other talking points, right?
Exactly. My number 5, Jamie Compton of the Florida Panthers, assistant coach with them. Was a defenseman, is a defensive coach, dabbles in the analytics a little bit. I think I might have to double check that. He's won 4 Stanley Cups with 3 different teams as an assistant. Obviously had great success working with Paul Maurice was with him in Winnipeg as well, I believe, but in the last couple of years with Florida. Defensive minded coach, not a name that really gets brought up. Maybe not a guy who is, thought to be a head coach at some point in the NHL, but I just think he is one of the, he was the defensive guy on a team that beat you in the cup twice. Clearly, he knows a thing or two. This team needs some defensive structure. Jamie Compton, my number 5.
Yeah. Hey, good shout. My number 5, Bruce Cassidy. This is clearly Bruce Cassidy in a wig. But
okay, I like this.
That's my number 5, Cruz Bassity. I like that.
I actually think that's pretty clever.
That was fun.
Thank you.
And he may be number 2 as well on the list.
Yeah. Only one way to find out.
My number 4, another real guy, Nolan Pratt, assistant out in Colorado. Cup winner out in Colorado. Obviously, what they've done. A lot of credit to Jared Bednar. A lot of credit to the talent. Things look pretty good when you have McKinnon, Rantanen, and then Makar. Then that turns into McKinnon, Rantanen, and Nekash. McKinnon, Makar, and Nekash. But Edmonton's got a pretty good top 3 as well. Hasn't quite had the, they obviously don't have the cup. They don't have what is looking to be a cup run this year, although obviously we got to play with the games. I just think he's another defensive guy. That was kind of a theme of my coaching targets here. Assistant, is he ready for a head coaching job? I don't know. I think he did it. I think he was the head coach of Portland, the Winterhawks. I could be wrong on that. I could be way off on that. Someone might need to fact check. But defensive guy from a great team with a great culture, Nolan Pratt, my number 4.
Very nice. My 4th one is in fact a real person, maybe a slight nepo hire, Scotty Bowman.
You know what? If he were, 10 years younger, man, who's going to say no to Scotty's willing to coach?
Hey, you know what? His son is the GM of the team. Maybe he picks up a phone call, like, Dad, you want to run it back one last time, So real person, one of the greatest to ever do it.
If they ever had a chance to have Scotty Bowman just give his assessment of the team, I think everybody could hear it.
The chance is probably 0, but I'm not saying there's a non-zero chance of this ever. Let's say 0.0 repeating about 1 billion times, and then there's the one.
Man, but he was a great coach.
Then there we are. There's Scotty Bowman right
really
there.
Was. Okay.
My number 3, Gerard Gallant. Obviously, 4 different stops as a head coach. Thought he was kind of unceremoniously let go in Vegas, took them to that cup. Doesn't have the cup you would want, although if you adhere to Jason's train of thought that no coach outside of Scotty, funny enough, has won 2 cups with 2 different teams in the last 55 years or whatever it is. This guy didn't win a cup, so maybe you do want him. Been out of the game for a little bit now, but good overall record. He's got 369 wins in 705 games. He has a .517 winning percentage in the playoffs. You'd obviously like that to be a little bit higher, but the playoffs, it's very tough to win. 5 playoff appearances. We're a little ways down the line from Bruce Cassidy, obviously, but Gerard Gallant comes into my number 3.
That's a really good name. That's been brought up a lot. I really like that. My number 3, Cruz Bassity. This is clearly Bruce Cassidy in Aviators or something of the such.
Are we going to do a semaphore signals of this?
Maybe a deck. I'm sorry. I know what you sent me, but this was quite frankly too good. So Cruz Bassity.
I like the name.
Yeah, this guy definitely has a mullet and is wearing Aviators, but it's just it's Bruce Cassidy under all that. Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
All right. I like that. I have another real guy for my number 2. Jeff Halpern, assistant under John Cooper in Tampa.
Nice.
McDavid likes the way they coach their team. Yeah. He likes the way John Cooper coaches his team. I don't think John Cooper's coming here. I think we all think that's kind of wishful thinking. But Jeff Halpern, analytically driven guy. I might have been wrong when I talked about Jimmy Compton that way, but Jeff Halpern is an analytically driven guy out there in Tampa. The team, the playoffs in the last 4 years obviously hasn't been great. He's got the 2 cups. He's been a staple of John Cooper's staff. I just think everyone kind of unanimously agrees that John Cooper is the best head coach in the NHL.
Oh, yeah.
And this has been a guy who has been one of his right-hand men through the entire thing. So Jeff Halpern, you are my second leading candidate.
That's a great one. My second one is also a real guy. I don't know his name, but whoever coached McDavid in Timbits. Might be his dad for all I know, but
Josh is a funny list.
If they're hey, you tried Knobloch, you went to 2 Stanley Cup finals. Maybe we just drop a couple. Maybe we just go down the line here. Maybe this works out.
What about McDavid's dad? Is he?
He might have been the guy that coached him Timbits. Who knows? So yeah, that's my number 2.
Okay, I like how you qualified that with it being a real guy, and in fact, it was my number 1. I actually wonder if we're going to have the same number 1 here, because I think you might have taken a bit of more of a serious route for number 1. So I'm curious if it's the same guy, although it's probably just Carusity Bruce or whatever. Peter Laviolette. he is the name that I think maybe gets thrown out as just kind of like, he gets thrown out after Bruce Cassidy is just kind of like, hey, we need to mention another name for talking points. Won a cup 20 years ago. Everyone remembers that one. Couple other cup final runs. Not, listen, he's made the playoffs a lot, 14 times. That's pretty good. You would like to bump up the winning percentage a little bit. He's only at about 52 as well, but obviously with a lot more under his belt than Gerard Gallant. I just think because the thing is, I thought about David Carl. I know you've mentioned him, Lowetide. What he has done at the University of Denver is incredible. And I thought about putting him on the list, but I just thought that the Oilers would want, I had 3 assistant coaches, so take that for what you will. But I just thought they would want NHL proven guys. And that's kind of why I came out with Peter Laviolette. Yeah, that's kind of why I came out with Peter Laviolette, my number 1.
That's a good name. I think I have a problem with everything you hear from players just being like, this is from day one, he is so hard to play for. I think that sort of takes him out of there. My number 1, Craig Berube.
Okay.
I think he is the second guy behind Bruce Cassidy. Recently let go by the Maple Leafs. It's hard to be good in the Maple Leafs market. I know the line matching things with Austin Matthews and all that stuff in his ice time against elites. I believe it was 48% on the Berube era, and before that he was doing 35% of his ice time was against elites. But lucky for him, he has 2 aces on the team that, there's only so many elites on one other team, and he's got 2 premier centermen. So if Bruce Cassidy or Truce Fassity or Cruz Bassity are never to work out, then I could see Craig Berube coming in. Also won a cup with the Blues in 2019.
Yes, he did.
He's a cup winning guy, knows what it's like.
Most improbable cup win, I would say, probably the 21st century.
Hey, credit to Jordan Bennington.
There
Get
you go.
hot.
Yeah. Good list, by the way, guys. I enjoyed. You were very funny. The Timbits one cracked me right up, and I thought that you both had good thought in it. And I thought Declan's list was pretty powerful. So
yeah, your list was powerful. The whole thought process behind mine was that, Kevin said earlier today, if you come out of this with any coach not named Bruce Cassidy, this is a debacle of monumental proportions on the Oilers' part. So, it's one with a bullet. You need Bruce Cassidy, and then 50 feet of crap. Then there's everybody else.
Here's my list. I tweeted it out. I had Cassidy number 1. I like David Carl because I think he's innovative. Now I understand the idea you want to go with a veteran coach, but I think you want to be cutting edge, and he is. I have Jay Woodcroft. Wildly unpopular name when I tweeted it out. People got angry, suggested I go somewhere and do something. But I think Woodcroft was a very good coach. He was a very young coach. Hopefully he's learned a little bit. He was outcoached during the playoffs in the big year that he was here. But I think the coaches can learn. Todd Nelson is a guy that has done everything but get an NHL coaching job at the beginning of the year. He coached the Oilers years ago, and then he's had great success in the AHL. And then, the guy that I would like is Sheldon Keefe, but he's in New Jersey, so you can't have him. So I'll mention Craig McTavish to irritate our texter from earlier. I watch McT on TV, and he's just really smart. He's a smart guy. Now, he might not want to do it. He's in a different part of his life now. But I think I remember the 05-06 team, and they were extremely well coached, and they changed the way they were going to defend in about a week and a half. And then they beat Detroit in 7 games. And I still think in the lore of Edmonton Oilers coaching, I think Craig McTavish is the job he did in the spring of 2006. Kevin Lowe got the players, but he was fantastic. And he got them to game 7, damn near won it all. And I will forever give him enormous credit for that. So I'll put him on the list. And after that, I don't know. I'd bring up Dallas Aikens, but I think people will, rain down blows upon me if I do. But I think they got the right guy. I think if Cassidy comes here, I think the Edmonton Oilers are in really good shape next year. They'll have a different looking team. They'll have a more aggressive team, and they'll have a more structured team. By the way, how do you think, if we were to gauge, how the local media is taking the firing of Chris Knobloch Who would you say is the most,
fired up about it?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
That is a great. First of all, you love ex-Oiler coaches
I
coming
do.
back.
Actually,
eh?
I learned so much from Craig McTavish that he would always be on a list of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I think across the media landscape, people were fired up for different reasons.
That's a fair assessment.
I would say probably in its totality. Oh man, probably Gregor, honestly.
I was going to say Gregor or Matty.
Yeah. It's probably between Gregor, Matty, or Speck. Speck has written, I think, 2 scathing articles now about the Oilers' handling of this situation.
Well, we talked about it the day it happened. It's not a good look.
Yeah.
And the record will show that, he took them to 2 Stanley Cup finals, and we can make a long list of coaches who did not do that. Now, he had the horses, but so did Dave Tippett. So did Todd McClellan.
Can I read you guys a crazy report from Michael Russo?
Sure.
Please.
So, and I'm sorry to interject so bluntly, but this is
you're
crazy.
going to make it worthwhile.
From Michael Russo and Bleacher Report Open Ice. The Minnesota Wild went after Robert Thomas at the deadline and offered up Danila Yurov and Jesper Wallstedt, but the Blues passed.
Wow.
Current Hall of Famer Jesper Wallstedt?
Well, no, he's already there. So
yeah,
so that's crazy. Bro, that's shocking to me.
Well, they liked him. I think they like him more now.
Yeah,
right?
But the Blues were willing to move on from Thomas. Like, he was in all of those. I think there was an actual report that the Blues were open to trading Robert Thomas, whatever.
Mm-hmm. That did happen.
You get offered a goaltender who's cheaper than Jordan Binnington. So in theory, you can move Jordan Binnington away and still be better in the net. That's weird.
But a lot of this is recency bias. Goaltenders, now that he's come through this, the way Wallstedt came through it, I think his value is much higher, right? And there may be reasons why they didn't appreciate him, but goaltending is so fickle. That's why I'm really hesitant to move off of Jari and, quite frankly, Connor Ingram, because I don't think either of them played enough in Edmonton for the Oilers to know what they have here. And
do you guys think that was a good deal?
What?
On paper?
What?
Danila Yurov and Jesper Wallstedt for Robert Thomas. I like Robert Thomas a lot, but I also think Robert Thomas has some kind of he kind of caps out as a skilled player. I think he's very good, don't get me wrong, and play driver, but
well, okay, but you're not trading established players, right? I mean, Wallstedt isn't 5-year veteran, Jesper Wallstedt, and you're trying to win the Stanley Cup, and you feel like you can do it, and maybe they just feel like they had a higher value on him.
Yeah, so I guess my thing is why do you turn that down if you're St. Louis? You tried to move Parayko, and he said no. Would fair play to him, but obviously trying to move Thomas.
I think they had a higher value on Thomas. St. Louis did.
Yeah, and that's my is his okay? Yeah, fair play, but is his value that?
Well, I think the he's a fairly complete player. And they may feel like they didn't have the same, everybody grades everybody out, right? Maybe they didn't have the same grade on Wallstedt. It's not impossible. He didn't go number 1 overall. And he is a very fine young goaltender, but things can happen.
But if that's at the deadline, he had what was his save percentage this year? Anyone have that in front of them?
He was pretty good. I think it was 915.
So finished the year with 915. But he was unreal at the start of the year. They were calling him the brick wall of St. Paul.
Jordan Binnington has a resume too, and they clearly appreciate it.
Evidently, he won them a cup. He could stay there the rest of his career, I think.
Right. So these decisions are made based on what your assets are and what you feel like the player coming your way is. And goaltending, the rising tide and the lower tide of goaltending fortunes we've seen in this town, where Stuart Skinner was a nominee for the Calder Trophy, and 2 years later, the howls for him to leave town for it doesn't matter what that you get were heard near and far. So that's kind of the way it works. All right, Steve Lansky on the way in hour number 2. This is the Lowdown with Lowetide, brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. It's time for an update with Declan Krueger.
This to the Sports 1440 update.
Brought to you by Elks Nation. For the best Elks coverage year-round with podcasts and articles, go to elksnation.ca. Player interviews, game analysis, and more. The best green and gold coverage online, elksnation.ca. PGA Championship currently, Aldrich Poggaiter is the leader at 5 under, 2 under on the day through 9 holes. Alex Smalley, the American, is second at 4 under. He was 1 under on the day and has finished. And the highest ranked Canadian in the field is Corey Connors, currently tied for 40th at 1 over, as is Canadian Taylor Pendrith. PWHL Game 2 final will go tomorrow between Ottawa and Montreal. Montreal leading that series 1-0 in the NHL. Action tomorrow as well between Buffalo and Montreal. Puck drop at 6 for that one. Montreal with a chance to close out the series at home. 2 games tonight in the NBA, Detroit and Cleveland at 5 o'clock. Cleveland with a chance to close their series out at home. And San Antonio, Minnesota, 7:30. San Antonio with a chance to win their series on the road. MLB action will get going at 4:40 with the Jays and the Tigers out in Detroit. Trey Savage on the bump in that one. Marlins and Rays, Brewers and Twins, Red Sox and Braves and Yankees, Mets also all on the dock. The late game tonight in the MLB will see the Giants and A's at 7:40. I'm Declan Krueger. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
1440, Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
May brings more of what you're looking for at Wolf GMC Buick. The selection, never better. The savings up to $12 grand when you combine cash discounts on your new Sierra 1500 pickup. Up to $1,750 in cash rebates on remaining 2025 Terrain SUVs. Plus 0% financing up to 72 months on most models. And ask about the truck trade-in bonus of up to $1,500 on select new in-stock Sierra 1500s.
Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Attention Alberta construction pros. For over 50 years, Japa Equipment Rentals has been your go-to for top-notch equipment and stellar service. Whether you need rentals or expert maintenance, we've got you covered. Stop by our Edmonton or Calgary locations today.
For many families, the stress of divorce can throw your life out of balance. The loss of a relationship, ongoing conflict, mounting legal bills, and uncertainty about the future can feel overwhelming. Hi, I'm Corey Anderson with Fairway Divorce Solutions. At Fairway, our team helps you restore balance through mediation, negotiation, and a unique step-by-step process. With 2 offices in Edmonton dedicated to serving your needs, our goal is simple: to help you navigate a path back to peace and clarity. Visit us today at Fairway Divorce.
The longest running basketball show in Canada airs every Saturday morning at 10 on Sports 1440. Hoop City with Paul Sir introduces a new generation of basketball talk, and it's right here on Edmonton's home for sports, Sports 1440.
My go-to move for getting out of the doghouse is catch of the week. Forget flowers. I head there, and the staff points me to the perfect fish and tells me how to cook it. It's easier than you think. Last week, I made an incredible salmon dinner. My wife was so impressed, she forgot why she was mad. It's my secret weapon. It works every time. They're just 5 minutes from Sherwood Park, but it's worth the drive from anywhere. Stop thinking about dinner and just go to Catch of the Week.
Make sure to visit catchoftheweekedmonton.com.
I'm Dr. Vance Elliott. The goal of every one of the thousands of hair restoration procedures I've performed is a full, natural-looking head of hair. I work directly with my patients for the consultation, the procedure, and the follow-up, so we can achieve the best results possible. When people see what we accomplish, I don't want them to think, "Wow, great hair transplant." I want them to think,
"Wow, great hair."
Go to drvanceelliott.com and contact us today.
The Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440. Can you fit sports encyclopedia on a business card?
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
GMC Buick. Ask about the truck trade-in bonus, up to $1,500 on select new in-stock Sierra 1500s. WolfGMCBuick.com. All right, as we slide into hour number 2, we are joined by our good friend Steve Lansky from Inside the Truck Podcast. Steve, are you in Paris, Bonneville, or at home?
Just at home, right in the living room, editing a podcast, but stopping to talk to you, my friend.
How long does it take to edit a 1-hour podcast?
For me, 3 hours, 4 hours.
Yeah, it takes a while, right?
Yeah,
Consume.
yeah. I'm very meticulous. I take
Right.
out a lot of the ums and the ahs, and I'll shorten up little pauses and stuff like that, where I think people would just leave it, but I don't.
Right. And then you got to take out the periods where you meander, and that's 2 hours.
No, we leave those in.
Oh.
We leave the meandering in, just like you do on your live show. I'm so sorry. I don't know how that came out. It wasn't even in my brain. It just came out.
Steve, don't worry. And I think the flooring here can take this much blood. So don't worry. You've cut me deeply, but that's okay. All right. We've had a wild week in Edmonton with Chris Knobloch being let go after what was, I'll say, an awkward period when Frank Saravalli reported on obviously something that had been leaked to him in terms of the Oilers being interested in going out and searching for at least one coach. Well, he was still the coach. Bruce Cassidy is the odds-on to become the next Edmonton Oilers coach. What's your thought on the process and maybe Knobloch's legacy as Edmonton Oilers coach?
Start with the legacy. Years from now, people are going to look at the numbers and say, how the hell could he possibly have been fired? He went to the Stanley Cup final twice. Twice as many wins as losses, maybe. I'd have to look at it.
It's a lot.
Damn close. It's damn close. So the numbers don't make any sense that you would do that, but I understand that we're sitting here, and I think there is a concept of underachievement. I'm not sure that's correct. I think it's not an accurate portrayal to me. And now you asked about the process, and I think the process is a gong show, is what I think. I think it's really, it's the easiest thing in the world to blame the guy in the suit standing on the bench. And I got to tell you, the guy in the suit standing on the bench isn't the problem.
So this is what the way I look at possibly bringing in a veteran coach.
Okay.
Because the last two coaches were lacked experience, and I do think that discipline, and I don't mean discipline like you're going to yell at somebody. I mean discipline, play, and structure and responsibility were there at times, but they would go away at inopportune times, as we saw against Anaheim. And I think that an observer or fan might believe that a more veteran coach could rein in some of those egos in the room and have everybody play like a team. Do you think that's possible?
You think the kids are going to follow new rules? Do you? Is that what you think going to happen? Because that ain't going to happen.
I think it's worth a try, but I want to hear what you say.
Yeah, it's worth a try, all right. I'm telling you, man, it ain't the guy behind the bench. If you go out and take every shift like it's the end of your life as you know it, you're going to do just fine. If you are allowed to do what you want, you'll do what you want. And who's allowing that? Well, the other guys in the room are allowing it, because I'll tell you right now, when you look at teams that were successful, they all held each other accountable. It didn't matter who was coaching the Pittsburgh Penguins, Bob Johnson, Scotty Bowman. It didn't matter. They were completely different coaches. It didn't matter. They won 2 Stanley Cups because that guy doesn't matter. What matters is the 23 guys in the room. And if the 23 guys in the room don't decide to play for each other, you can whistle Dixie out your you-know-what as long as you want. It's not going to make any difference. I'm not sure anybody walking into that room is going to make a difference to the key components of this puzzle.
Will you agree, Steve, that we'll know early? And I know how you feel it won't happen, but we'll know early because one of the frustrating things about this team is they were never ready for game one, and they kind of would announce it, saying, "Well, we're not sure about what we're going to, audition a few people. We got this happening," and then midway through the season, they'd have a bad game, and somebody would say, "Well, we'll lock this down by the playoffs," and that kind of misses the point because you need to start as you mean to go. And I remember the Sedins saying their last 2 preseason games, they would run the roster that was going to play opening night, and they were, as far as they were concerned, playing regular season NHL games.
Yeah, I think it's going to start like from the moment the coach is hired. That's when it needs to start. Will it? I don't know. If I posted it this week. If I hear the phrase "we've got to be better" one more time, I probably am going to kill myself because it means absolutely nothing. But it's a way to deflect eyes from you just to say, "Oh, we've got to be better." What even the hell does that mean? We've got to be better. It doesn't mean anything. It means here's me wriggling off a hook again. The hook wriggling. I never thought I'd say that today. Has got to stop. It's got to stop, or you're not a professional who's going to be a champion. Period. It's no more complicated than that.
Are you enjoying the NHL playoffs?
They're the Stanley Cup playoffs, first of all. I know you baited me on that one. I know you did. Yeah, I loved every minute of it. I can't believe there's no game tonight. First day where there's no game. I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to walk laps around the house or something like that. But I live for the Stanley Cup playoffs, dude. I literally, if I die before the playoffs start, I'm going to be
bad.
I'm going to be so pissed off. You have no idea how angry I'm going to be.
I get that. What did you think about Tortorella not meeting with the media? They won the series and he took off. That's a fine, right? The NHL will fine his ass.
I didn't see any quotes from him, so I assume that's what he did. You know what I think he's done, and I'll give him credit. I'm not sure he's the sharpest knife in the drawer, but he's not the dullest either. I think he's figured out it's basically got nothing to do with him. Shut up, stand there, do your best. You don't have to say, what he did to Mitch Marner to figure out how to get him from where he was with that culture of crap in Toronto. You can use that. To what I mean, he's a totally different. The mindset's got to be totally different. So it is changeable, I think. But I think Tortorella's figured out just get out of the way. Whereas when you look at Marty St. Louis in Montreal, he's the opposite. He's everywhere. He's every minute. He's every emotion right there. I think Torts has figured out I don't need to do that. I don't care if they find me. I couldn't care less. I just want to go to the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, there's an outlaw indifference about that organization anyway, right? You can agree, like they're just it's the old blank you attitude. I mean the Marc-Andre Fleury and Alan Walsh situation. It always seems like there's some kind of conflict and there's an indifferent reaction to whatever is enraging people about the organization. There's a certain indifference about it. And I mean, that does play in sports.
It's still an amazing organization to me. Love them, hate them, whatever you want. This was nothing but a team of players nobody wanted. And they went to the Stanley Cup final. Think about that for a minute. They're an expansion team and they go to the Stanley Cup final. And I guarantee you they only did it because they were so pissed off that everybody just marginalized all those players. They're like, oh yeah, we're going to show you. And I think they've been that way ever since. And you know what? I don't blame them. And it's working great. And I would just keep riding that horse.
What is your take on, we've heard it now from Cassidy. We know there's 3 teams interested in him, Edmonton, LA, Toronto. And he wants to interview and they have withheld permission. It's a little bit unprecedented to do it for this long. I'm assuming that Daly's on the phone to talk to them, but it's an interesting situation because at some point in time, a lawyer is going to say, I can get involved here if you want because it's billable hours. But again, it's Vegas being Vegas.
It is, but I got to be honest with you. If he was under contract to me and I didn't want him coaching anywhere else, because let's face it, they didn't make a change because he's a bad coach. They made a change because they, maybe they were in a bit of a slide and they thought, well, we can bring this guy in, stir it up, and so far it's worked. They're going to the conference final. If I'm Vegas, I do exactly the same thing. I play as many cards as they can get. I don't care about Bruce Cassidy. I fired him. Why would I care? I care about what's best for our team. I don't want him coaching in our conference. They may not care whether or not he goes to Toronto. I'm not sure he's the savior in Toronto. I understand why they might want him. He's got experience. He was a great player. He can deal with stars ostensibly, although he was hurt in his NHL career. But if I was Vegas, I'd be doing exactly the same thing.
Is there any possibility that and I'm just speaking out loud here, and I invite you to rain down blows on me, but if I were them and I was doing exactly what you described, where they needed the dead cat bounce and they got it when they made the coaching change, maybe I bring back that coach next year. Maybe I try to do it anyway.
Like stranger things have happened? Absolutely.
Yeah. Sure.
Listen, one of the things I really struggle with in the NHL is there's a lot of thinking. I don't love this term, but inside the box. Dude, I'm telling you, it's 2026. The box doesn't exist anymore. If you can think it and you think it'll work, do it. And when I listen to Stan Bowman's, I don't know, he talked for like 90 of the most boring seconds of my life that I'll never get back about why he made the coaching change. And I'm like, my God, dude, you just said nothing in 90 seconds. First of all, that was amazing. You should go to whatever the boring Hall of Fame is. Second of all, you said nothing. You gave no honest to goodness from the heart response. Well, we sat down, we looked at it. I'm so tired of this crap. I get it. You sat down, you talked to other people. Congratulations. You figured out you wanted to fire a guy. Nice job. Any chance you could answer the question? Is there any chance? So they're all so staid and stodgy and stuffy. And if you can think of it, I would say consider doing it.
The one thing I would say, though, is that the Oilers have a history of, I've got 6 Stanley Cup rings in case that's a problem. If you have to ask the question about Devin Dubnyk, Bob Nicholson at a fan event saying they weren't going to bring back Tobias Reeder. I think scripted and boring in this town might actually be less than the worst thing possible.
That could be a valid point. I don't love it. But you're right. There's 32 cities, and there's 32 city vibes in the National League. You have a bunch of cities that couldn't care less, like Arizona didn't. But you do have a bunch of cities that are invested. But I just think, and you mentioned about winning the Cup 5 Cups, and I remember at that time people saying this is going to be a problem. Years from now, this is going to be a problem because this is how people are going to look at this franchise. And I'll be damned if they're not right because we're creeping up on 50 years. And that's what gets talked about a lot. So those guys didn't do these guys any favors. But I think Edmonton just win, baby. Just win.
I agree with that. So I'm going to say something to you, and then I want you to say, yeah, that's right, or no, you're wrong, and here's why. So when the Edmonton Oilers won the McDavid lottery in 2015, the owner shelved Craig McTavish as GM, and he brought in a veteran GM, and they've done that since. And the veteran GMs have all used the deadline and the summer to offload assets in an effort to win the Stanley Cup the next year, the following year. And they've done it for 10 years in a row. The cupboards are bare. There's not a lot of prospects. They have a couple of young players, but they don't have a lot. And now we've reached the point where it is sort of last chance Texaco. You've got a 2-year contract for McDavid. And I would argue this is the time, even though you should have been doing it years and years ago, this is the time where you really have to build for the future. And so if you have a Savoy and he's the ask on a veteran guy, you've got to keep him because you just don't have enough youth. And we are at the point, Steve, where the organization, the management have to reimagine the team without McDavid, and they have to do that now.
Yes, that's right. But that's very, 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 very hard to do. And I think, to be very honest with you, Al, the number of people who can assess hockey players And we're not talking about on the ice. I can see how this guy plays on the ice or how we're talking about them as people. And I realize this is very unpopular to judge somebody's character. God forbid we ever do that. I got to tell you, the 23 guys in the room, they can all play. We're judging their character every single night. It's just we can't say those words. We can't say we're judging their character. That's exactly what you're doing. Get the guys with the character in there. I look at Vegas's roster. I'm like, "Oh, who am I even looking at here? I'm looking at 3 great guys and 18 guys I never heard of. It's all about character, but nobody realizes that, and it's not sexy with fans. It's not popular. You know what? That's really what your job is. If you can't do it, you shouldn't be a general manager in the league.
You rock, sir. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next Friday.
You got it. Take care.
There you go. Steve Lansky got off a really good shot at the beginning of that segment. Left me bleeding. I'm telling you. That's the kind of characterization and verbal I expect from my 2 colleagues to my right. How come you don't have a camera?
Hey, oh, sorry.
Why don't you have a camera?
Because I just don't.
Good looking fella. Come on now.
We had some camera issues this week, and now like the idea of just adding another camera in makes like it's just another chance for something to go wrong at this point. I'm good.
When Declan was looking after the cameras, we never had a problem. Now that you're doing it, it's a problem all
They
the
get a
time.
lot more use these days.
Oh, all right.
They get about 7 hours more use a day.
Okay. What you were going to say something? I interrupted you.
Yeah, so Friedman on the Fan 590, he had come out and he had said that, according to him, obviously, didn't need to say that part, but the Golden Knights were furious over Braden McNabb's suspension, which led to their post-game antics.
Oh, so drilling a guy from behind into the boards and it gets a suspension and you're mad? I thought Paling would get a suspension. I'm kidding.
Hey,
So
you
that's
should
why-
be suspended for getting
but-
hit in the head.
He's still going to get fined. Like everybody, the owner will probably pay for it. But everybody knows if you don't do a post game, you're going to get fined by the league. So that they were willing to take that hit because they were so upset. But
Evidently, it wasn't that important. I still won.
Yeah. Remember what happened to Leon against Vegas? Remember that?
Sure.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of sympathy for the Vegas Golden Knights, although, I do respect them as an organization. They are an astute organization in player evaluation, including goaltenders. And that's why I think Cassidy would be one of the reasons he'd be a very valuable get. All right, we'll take a break. Your comments straight ahead. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440. We're brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. Brings more of what you're looking for at Wolf GMC Buick. The selection, never better. The savings up to $12,000 when you combine cash discounts on your new 2026 Sierra 1500 pickup. Up to $1,750 in cash rebates on remaining 2025 Terrain SUVs. Plus 0% financing up to 72 months on most models. And ask about the truck trade-in bonus of up to $1,500 on select new in-stock Sierra 1500s.
Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
When your project can't afford downtime, call Japa Equipment Rentals. From excavators and wheel loaders to compaction equipment, Japa has the machines you need. Trusted since 1972. Visit japaequipment.com or stop by our Edmonton or Calgary locations. Who's that working on the underground utilities over there? All Star Construction, that's who. What about the street lighting? Yep, All Star Construction. And the directional drilling, hydrovacking, neighborhood renewal, and telecommunication work? Yep. And yep. Since 2009, All-Star Construction has been doing all that and more, shaping and building Edmonton communities for land developers all around Edmonton. That's what All-Star Construction is all about.
Hey there, I'm in the Fountain Tire sidecar, making a list of the things I'm doing this spring. 1. Saving you money, with up to 20% off select tires until June 13th. 2. Water skiing, tricky in a sidecar, but fun. And 3, saving you more money with mail-in rebates of up to $100 off a set of 4 select tires and $50 off a $150 service with the purchase of 4 select tires. Oh, that's 4 things. Oh well, restrictions apply. Book online at fountaintire.com.
Broken up by William Karlsson. He springs him in. Mitch Marner, who's in, and he stops it home. Mitchell Marner. It's a stretch pass from Wild Bill. Look at the position of Karlsson, and it
Davidoff's stick to fade by Hudson. And now Davidoff again fires, scores. There it is. His first Stanley Cup playoff goal. Just a great play of keeping this one alive. A little chip by.
This is flipped the other way, and it's a fair ball. And it gets by Hernandez. It's going to allow the speedy Haas to score. And here comes Jango. This is flipped the other way, and it's a fair ball. And it gets by Hernandez. It's going to allow the speedy Haas to score. And here comes Jango. This is flipped the other way, and it's a fair ball. And it gets by Hernandez. It's going to allow the speed.
Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save-On Foods. Canada West and Diablo Boots, the two best names in the boots business.
The Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440. Author, musical connoisseur, sports know-it-all. Yes, a man for all seasons.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
Everybody wants to rule the world. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440. Brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. Huge May savings. WolfGMCBuick.com. I'll give you a little inside scoop about this show. I rarely sing along with the songs, but I sang along with that one. I bet you guys can't tell me the other big hit they had.
I could. It was.
No, don't look it up.
No, I'm not. Hey, I'm not. But I am also gonna get the question wrong because I'm gonna know it when I hear it.
It was shout, let it all out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sort of. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I sang
The only
that.
shout that I really know is the one that's at weddings.
Isley
By the
Brothers?
Isley Brothers.
Yeah.
It was in Animal House.
Great
It was in
song.
Wedding Crashers.
Great song, man.
That's generations right there. I said Animal House. You said Wedding Crashers.
Yeah, I've seen Animal House also.
Even though Wedding Crashers is more my generation.
I bought the 45, so that is different.
Nice.
By the way, it's time for Rumors, brought to you by Harley Davidson of Edmonton. It's riding season. Harley Davidson of Edmonton has your next bike waiting. Huge selection of new and pre-owned, plus test rides available, locally owned and operated since 1980 on the Yellowhead Trail or at hdedmonton.com. Look, we can be honest here. I said it at the top of the show. Cassidy's top choice, apparently, according to Elliot, is the Oilers. The Oilers' top choice is Cassidy. Can't we just, make these good things happen?
Hey, you know what? No.
You see, this is the problem with the NHL. You pick up the phone and you say, Larry, don't make me come out there. And then you hang up. Did you see Goodfellas?
I did many
That's
times.
the way you handle it.
Sure. You just sort of wish it was more action packed, like the two trade scenes in Moneyball. I got Dombrowski on 2.
I like how he's trying to get a lefty reliever
Mhm.
for a load of hay or a Coke machine.
Yeah.
That was a really good show. It was really good. Yeah.
Soda. I don't want my guys paying for soda. You're going to stock my machine for 2 years. Yeah, I'm serious. All right.
Some of the stories that are lore, and not just baseball, but also hockey, where guys traded for like a bus.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what, you're a professional hockey player, and you're like, okay, you got to go to Schenectady because we're getting a bus for the rest of the guys, and it's a good deal for us. See ya. Man. The Ottawa Senators are reportedly targeting defense in the offseason. They want a bull, a stud who can play 30 minutes a night. Can we think of anybody? Anybody?
Who are we talking about right now?
Ottawa Senators looking for a goalie or a defenseman who can play a lot.
Ooh, Darnell Nurse.
So I want to repeat a story that Declan just said. So I'm going to have Declan say it about the Tortorella Vegas being upset story. Do you have that handy?
Yeah, so Elliot Friedman on Sportsnet, the Fan 590, reporting that the post-game antics stemmed from them being upset about Braden McNabb's suspension.
It's the pettiness of of the NHL is like, I love it because I am very petty, but it's like from a professional point of view, it's a little more Stampede Wrestling than I think the people who want to manicure and clean up the sport would like. You know, and I like rogue teams. I loved the Raiders. I loved when they were like that. Al Davis, he didn't give two hoots or a nanny about anything. He just didn't. It was like, I'm doing this. I don't care. I'm sitting my Hall of Fame running back, and he's not going to get the record because I don't like what he did. And nobody can stop me. So I don't know that I respect it, but I do enjoy the colorfulness of some organizations because honestly, a lot of them are just paint by number. So I get that. I understand it. I do think that Cassidy will be with the Oilers in not too terribly long a time. Maybe by this time next week, I'll predict that. Why don't I predict that? And then you can tell me I'm wrong next Friday. We'll go ahead and do that. Are we excited about the Jays? Hey, by the way, the Mets and the Yankees are playing this weekend. It's the,
Subway Series.
Yeah. Well, there's been some good ones over the years.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you would think like going into this year, it would be better. Like if you had looked at the offseason, you'd be like, oh, man, Bo Bichette, Lindor. And then you're like, oh, Aaron Judge on the other side, obviously. And the Yankees are obviously the Yankees and the Mets are obviously the Mets, actually. So nothing's changed.
Did you see the Mets, the first baseman who couldn't get the out at first base? With
I
the
did.
Ball?
That was the most pathetic thing I've ever seen.
I watched that and I'm just giggling like an idiot because that could only happen to a New York Mets first baseman. Was that, it wasn't Alonso. It must have been, was it Alonso? No, it wasn't.
No,
Alonso's
it was
in Baltimore.
No,
It
yeah.
was the-
I just saw this.
The guy who
again
strikes
on
out
Twitter.
all the time. I can't remember his name.
Oh
right
man, that could be anyone on the
Yeah,
Mets.
no, but the Mets are so Mets, and this is a Mets play that is
That's-
beyond like the pale. You're like, does this man play professional sports? It's like me trying to get an out at first base. That's how bad that
that'd
was.
be tough.
Yeah, right. By the way, the 76ers said that Nick Nurse will not be involved in the search for a new head of basketball operations. He's got, and I quote here, got enough on his plate.
Mark
So-
Vientos.
Yeah, Vientos.
My
He
vote.
strikes out so much. I like him. When he hits the ball, it goes to the moon. But you got to be able to hit it, a little bit more often. Stephon Diggs interested in rejoining the Pats. Do you think that the Pats would be interested in him?
Well, they just cut him. So,
Well, he says he's interested in going back.
well, now to be fair, that was probably surrounding some of the legalities that he was involved in.
But that gets smoothed over by the lawyers before training camp.
Yeah, no, it's like done.
It's already been smoothed
It's
over.
done. It's over.
It's over.
I don't know, man. Like,
What would an NFL player have to do to get in real trouble? Like, I mean, aside from smoking pot.
Smoke weed?
Well,
yeah.
actually, we know the answer to this. Murder somebody.
But it took a while.
Yeah, I guess so.
Listen, I'll tell you, like Roger Goodell gets a lot of heat for how he handled the Ray Rice situation, and rightfully so, I may add.
And Adrian Peterson.
Ray Rice never played in the NFL again after that.
I think people forget that, though.
Yeah.
Because
they definitely do.
Right, because the NFL's reputation is so bad, facts don't matter.
I would say that certainly factors in.
Yeah. So, what are our plans for the weekend?
I'm going to Peace River.
Mm-hmm.
Man, early to be doing this. I'm going to Peace River. Going to see my lovely, beautiful girlfriend right after this. So that's so a lot of drinking.
You're missing. You're burying the lead. You're meeting the family.
I've met her. So she's an only child, but I've met her family already once before.
Okay.
Because she had a dance recital like 2 weeks into us dating.
Right.
And I asked if I could go, like if I could come.
Sure.
So she was, first of all, very giddy that I asked if I could come.
Mm-hmm.
And second of all, I had to make the decision of if I was going to be the guy that just stood in the corner and like this like in between the intermission and like not talk to her family and not talk to her, or if I would bite the bullet and go and do this. So yes, I met her dad. A couple minutes later, I met her mom.
Because you're a gentleman. Now, you have your own toothbrush?
Yeah.
You got you have
shampoo,
more than one change of underwear.
Yep.
Okay.
And socks.
Okay. And you've got shirts, and you if they lend you like a towel.
Pants. I forgot pants.
Damn, there's always something. There's a Zeller's just down the way.
Not in Peace River, man. Actually,
man.
that might be where the only Zellers is left.
Zellers is?
I have no. Yeah, it's, you never know.
There's a lot of S's on the end of that. Anyway, you're gonna have a great time. What about you, Declan? What are you doing?
Yeah, go to Elks training camp and watch NBA and NHL playoffs. 2 big NBA games tonight.
And
series
no NHL.
Clinchers, series clinchers potentially. Cleveland could wrap it up at home.
What's the big surprise in the NBA for you two Jokers so far this year in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really just Detroit's ineptitude. They were such a staunch defensive team all season. Now, granted, they actually had some I don't know if I'm not putting my hand up saying credit to Declan. I do that enough. But if you guys go back and roll the tape from early in the season, I was saying Detroit has a thing where they kind of feel like, yeah, they shoot the ball well.
I remember
but
you saying that.
Yeah, right. And
I do remember you saying that.
I appreciate that because now it's kind of all come to a head. And they have some good players, but they also have some real, Cade's inefficiency. I'm not ever going to blame anything on Cade because without Cade, I don't even know if Detroit's a play-in team. Seriously, I don't know if they're a play-in team without Cade. Maybe because of what Jalen did in the regular season, but he is the driving force. So I don't want to speak ill of Cade, but he has these inefficiencies. And when he's not going and he's playing this inefficiently, no one else on the roster really seems to be able to pick up offensive slack, especially with what Jalen Duren's done or not done in these playoffs. No one can really create a shot for themselves. I like Dennis Jenkins a lot. He's done a great job for them, but he's a backup's backup. So just like this identity they had all season, for it to suddenly collapse in the playoffs. And by the way, if Franz Wagner doesn't get hurt, they're supposed to go in the first round to that 8-seed Magic team.
He wrote so many beautiful pieces of music.
Oh, and he was good at basketball too.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy? His brother's name is Mo, which kind of sounds like Mozart. Kind of funny, but it's just it's so disappointing because the East, Boston goes out. New York always has a thing where they kind of cap out as a conference finals team, at least with this iteration of the team. And Detroit 2 years ago had 14 wins. They were supposed to take this step and be there and get to the finals. And it was a cool, feel-good story. And they haven't. Not only have they not grabbed the bull by the horns, they've actually hopped on the rodeo clown's back and just got out of the arena in general. So it's been tough to watch.
It's I remember Boston being a big subject for our show for the Celtics for quite some time. And now, and then it kind of, tweaks and twerks, and the Knicks, you want to be excited. I want New York to win something. They never win anything. There's no media there. But the Knicks, it's been so long. To me, the Knicks are in 73, I remember just noticing them because they were all over all the sportscasts. And I thought, well, that's New York. They'll be in the news a lot. They'll win lots, and they've not won a blasted thing. So I'd like to see that happen one day, but it won't. And are we capable of saying that the winner of the NBA championship and the winner of the NHL championship will both come out of the West?
Oh, I feel very comfortable saying that in the NBA's case. Like, no doubter. In the NHL's case, I'm not willing to write off Carolina.
Yeah. No, I agree. In the West, if it is San Antonio, which I think it will be, although credit to Minnesota, not going to call them a surprise because we talked about that first round series, and obviously Ann Edwards, I believe, is the top 6 player in the world. Josh, I think you would agree.
Yep.
So they got that, but like they're good. They're right there. I'm not going to count them out. I do think it'll be San Antonio. And then, yeah, San Antonio, OKC, you have to think they'll win the NBA championship going away.
This is unironically one of the funniest texts I've ever seen come to this show. This is sweet because I grew up in a small town.
Oh, so you're looking at Aaron's text?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a small town, just so you know, in a small town, you could be, if you grew up in a small town and then 15 to 50 years later, you're in New York City and somebody mentions that small town, you go, oh, hey, really? Do they know my family? And do you want to read this text from Aaron?
Sure. All right. Aaron texts in, hey guys, you're going to Peace River this weekend? ! I was born and grew up in that area. Please make sure to ask your girl's family if they know mine. Paliwota and Sismata are our last names. Everybody seems to know Sismatas. Enjoys your trip, buddy. Please, Aaron, text back in to tell me if I said those names right.
So
I did also take a picture of the text.
Okay, you are going to ask?
I will ask, and
Okay.
I will report back on Tuesday.
That to me, that's like, we'll never do swap and shop where I'm talking about Olga has 12 quart sealers that she wants to sell for $15. We won't do that on this show, but that's radio in a small town. And that is such a beautiful, Aaron, thank you for that. That is a highlight of my day. To get that text, because if you did grow up in a small town, you do know that you would do that. You'd say, hey, do they know my family? What about my friend Terry? He just lived down the street. We used to deliver papers together. And it's like, no.
And then you go to the States and you say you're from Canada and you're like, oh my God, do you know Jim? I'm like, which one, man? I actually don't know anybody named Jim.
Yeah, do you know the Smiths?
Oh man, most common name in the world.
No.
Second
well, in
last
in
name.
the Western world.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's still Muhammad's number one, right?
The thing I
That's
always
his
worry
first
about
name.
for our American friends when they come up here is that they don't realize the beer is real.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They expect it to be like their beer.
Mm.
You know.
Ours is better or
it's stronger.
Whenever I talk to Elks player, like the Americans who are coming up for the first time, I always ask them, like, what's it like up here, man? Like, no Sonic, no COVID. And they're always like, man, it's tough, but you know.
Especially if you talk to those guys from like the South. You're like,
Florida.
Yeah. South or like Texas. They're like, yeah, no Whataburger or anything here. I'm like, wow.
Whataburger's awesome.
You can't find grits anywhere in Canada.
Hey, listen, you know what? I would I think there's still a Fuddruckers in Saskatoon, and I would drive to that now. So I understand how they feel about a burger they love that they can't get.
Here's the thing. Whataburger isn't really like, it's not like all time. It's not like an all-time burger. What is unreal about Whataburger, though, is that is by far 110% the best milkshake I've ever had from a fast food establishment.
You would have to go to Tino's in Medicine Hat and try theirs to convince me that it's
But this is a chain fast food restaurant. That's what's crazy about it.
I stand on my Tino's. All right, we'll take a break. The last segment will be even less structured. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440, and we're brought to you, and we love them, Wolf GMC Buick.
Summit Restaurant, located in the heart of the Silent Ice Center and just minutes from South Edmonton Common. Summit is your destination for exceptional house-made pizza, delicious entrees, and expertly crafted cocktails. Experience the perfect blend of flavor and ambiance in a modern setting. Join us for a straightforward yet elevated dining experience where our commitment to quality speaks to every bite and sip. Make Summit Restaurant your next night on the town.
With Play Alberta, backing the home team goes beyond the bets. That's because your picks have provincial impact. Play Alberta is the only app in the province that puts all revenue directly back into supporting programs and services that Albertans rely on every day. By investing in the General Revenue Fund, every play, bet, and buy made on Play Alberta helps make a difference across the province. It feels good to know your fund goes further at home. Visit playalberta.ca/Gregor to learn more. Must be 18 plus to play. If you gamble, use your game sense.
Shoulder pain. It can make even the simplest things like reaching up, lifting a bag, brushing your teeth, or sleeping frustrating. Rotator cuff strains, impingement, arthritis, they're some of the most common issues we treat every day. I'm Grant Fedoruk, and at Leading Edge Physio, our team brings postgraduate training, evidence-based technology, and just the right amount of humor and humility to help you feel better. Because we never forget the most important part, the gratitude we feel for every patient who allows us the opportunity to care for them. Because life shouldn't hurt. When it does, leadingedgephysio.com.
Your protein drink should work as hard as you do. That's why Booster Juice is hitting the gym harder than ever, brother. Meet your new gym buddies, the Way Too Good and Green Gains Booster Mixers. 2 new ripped and refreshing menu options that bench some serious protein. Perfect for pre or post workout. Way Too Good and Green Gains Booster Mixers taste like motivation. So what are you waiting for? Let's go!
Booster Juice. Canadian born, blending since 1999.
The longest running basketball show in Canada airs every Saturday morning at 10 on Sports 1440. Hoop City with Paul Sir introduces a new generation of basketball talk, and it's right here on Edmonton's home for sports, Sports 1440.
Mr. Rooter gets attacked by a Canada goose.
Oh, look at that, another on-time arrival. Nothing stops Mr. Rooter from plumbing on schedule. You gotta be kidding me. Hello, Mr. Goose. I'm Mr. Rooter. Okay, this is what you train for. Through rain, sleet, or goose, the pipes get fixed.
A honk for a plumber who does whatever it takes. Mr. Rooter.
Getting your vehicle sparkling clean doesn't have to cost a fortune. Take it into Hughes today and pay just loonies a wash.
Find us at hughescarwash.com.
I'm good to go. Good to go.
With Mortgages to Go, you'll be good to go. Mortgagestogo.ca says yes when the banks say no. That's why Alberta has trusted Mortgages to Go for over 23 years. If you need cash and have equity in your home, you're approved instantly, guaranteed. Call 1-888-888-5998. That's 1-888-888-5998. With Mortgages to Go, you'll say,
I'm good to go.
Real protection starts from the ground up. Timberland Pro Boondock Boots provide industrial-grade protection and legendary durability. Their new BOA series give you unmatched fit and performance coupled with all-day anti-fatigue comfort. Find the largest selection of Timberland Boondock BOAs at all 3 of our Edmonton job site workwear locations and online at jobsiteworkwear.ca.
Job site workwear, tough for tough jobs.
Start thinking spring road trips and off-road trips in your new Subaru Crosstrek. Stylish, rugged, and so many features. Standard on every Crosstrek. Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive, EyeSight driver assist technology, heated seats, and LED steering responsive headlights. Plus, with interest rates from 0.99%, you'll love the affordable weekly payment. No waiting, immediate delivery available. Subaru Crosstrek. Visit Subaru.ca. Welcome to Uncommon. Welcome to
The Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440. Can you fit Sports Encyclopedia on a business card?
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
It's the Lowdown on Sports 1440, brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. Huge May savings on right now at wolfgmcbuick.com. You got a little time on the long weekend, maybe call that up and have a look. Why not? Okay. We're into the cool down section of the Lowdown for the week. We're not here Monday. We're taking the day off. And that's probably the day that the Oilers announce the coach. So we'll all be back. If that happens, we'll all be here. Don't worry. We got you covered. I have to say that I remember Bill Hunter out at the big WHA gigantic sign on the Yellowhead back in 1971, where the organization announced they had secured a WHA franchise. And from that day forward, I always watched the Edmonton Oilers of the WHA, or actually Alberta Oilers, then Edmonton Oilers of the WHA, and then the NHL very closely. They're always just the idea that Al Hamilton was playing within driving distance of my house was like, you have to understand that I was born in the original 6 era. And so there was 6 teams. They were all way over on the Eastern Seaboard, and 2 of them were in Canada, but they weren't anywhere close to me. And there was local hockey, of course, but it was miles and miles away. The NHL was like the moon. And so when the Oilers came in, that was a big deal. So this week has been unique in Oilers history because they fired a coach who had been to the finals twice. In the 3 seasons he coached the Edmonton Oilers, most of 3 seasons, he'd been to the finals twice, lost in the first round in the next one. And I think that, based on what we know, that if we piece the timeline together, I think the owner getting upset about the defense before the Olympic break and Paul Coffey being airlifted back onto the coaching staff was a harbinger of things to come. And even with that said, and it's Daryl Cate's team, even with that said, the developments as they occurred were a little bit shocking. The leak comes, you realize that pretty good coach who's got a great resume. I think he'll get another NHL job within a year, maybe a year and a half. Maybe it'll be next summer that he gets a job if he wants it. But then on the other hand, if you're going to make a change and if they make the change and don't get Cassidy, then this, I think, will turn again on a dime. But if you make this change and you get Bruce Cassidy, then I think that you have improved your team. And that's the bottom line. There have been worse moments in NHL history. Bobby Clark said, "We didn't tell Roger Nielsen to get cancer. He just turned goofy." So there have been moments in NHL history that are worse. And there will be again. Microphones carry. And NHL folks are NHL folks. Not everybody is trained in media. We know Stan Bowman is because we saw the media avail. But it's still, for an organization like the Edmonton Oilers, I think he's, I think he would be, I wrote about it the other day at lowtide.ca. I think he would be certainly one of the top 5, but I would put him probably 4th as Oilers coach among the 18 NHL coaches who've been here for any length of time. And, you can't go back. That guy's going to go somewhere. God forbid you meet him in a final. And they have not secured the coach that I think they probably wanted because of the league, but they went ahead and did it. I still think they should have done it the other way. You have to decide if you want to keep that individual. I don't think anybody wants to be, we'll fire Lars if we can't get the other guy, but let's not do it until we know we got the other guy, because then I just don't want to have to work, extra hours to replace him, interview people. It gets boring. I think most of us would like to be treated or feel like we're more important than that. And, I don't think that people in any walk of life do that on purpose, but it did happen. And so that's something that I think the Edmonton Oilers should and hopefully will clean up. And I've been highly critical of them this week, but I would also add that they're not alone in NHL history. I think that every NHL team might spend a few moments looking at how the Montreal Canadiens handle things. And I think the Toronto Maple Leafs are another team that could do that. They had a media avail that Steve Simmons rocked not that long ago. I think as you see media move forward, you're going to see less and less open mic kind of situations because more gotcha questions are being asked or gotcha statements are being made. And professional organizations are a brand, and they don't like to look foolish or like they're not prepared or like they're unprofessional. So I think that you'll see more planted questions. And I think you will eventually see periods of time where questions from the audience are not allowed. They'll be submitted, and then a select few will be used. All right. On the way, Jason Gregor is going to take you through the rest of the afternoon, talk about the NHL weekend coming up, and what looks like a dandy couple of series straight ahead next week. Thanks so much for tuning into the Lowdown. Reminder, we will not be here on Monday unless news breaks on the coaching situation. Please enjoy your weekend, and thank you so much for tuning into the Lowdown.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Brought to you by Sean Cunningham of Remax Real Estate. Get the home team advantage for your next move in the Edmonton area. If you're thinking about buying or selling a home, call or text Sean directly at 780-265-0165. PGA Championship scores. Aldrich Polkgeiter still currently the leader at 5 under, 2 under on the day through 12 holes. Alex Smalley in second at 4 under. He was 1 under on the day and has finished. And Canadians Corey Connors and Nick Taylor both well inside the cut line, both sitting at tied for 38 at +1. NHL schedule tomorrow, Buffalo and Montreal. Montreal chance to wrap that series up at home as they lead 3-2. In the NBA tonight, 2 games, Detroit and Cleveland at 5 and San Antonio, Minnesota at 7:30. San Antonio and Cleveland with a chance to win those series. The Blue Jays will be in action at 4:40 today. Out in Detroit, take on the Tigers. Trey Savage on the mound in that one. And the PWHL Walter Cup final will get going tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Mountain, with Ottawa and Montreal. Montreal leading that series 1-0. I'm Declan Krueger. This has been the Lowdown with Lowetide and Sports 1440 Update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJ